Welcome to our PHP web course. In this class, we will look at arrays. An array is a type of variable. Rather than storing one value in a variable, with arrays, we can store multiple values in one variable. An array can contain strings, numbers, and other arrays, known as a multi-dimensional array. So an array contains multiple elements. Each element has what is called an index or a key to which we associate a value. The brackets are used to hold the key or the index. Typically, counting starts at 0 if it's an indexed array. However, you can set where it starts if you wish. PHP has several super global variables that are actually arrays. We have looked at $_server, $_post, and $_get. These are actually arrays because they contain several elements. Here is an example of creating an array. This would be an indexed array. How do we know? Because we have not specified any keys. We have also not specified any numbers. Therefore, counting will automatically start as 0. So here we have the array function, and we are specifying the values in the array. They are string values so that they have quotes. They are comma separated. They are being stored in the variable $list. We can retrieve an individual value by specifying the index number of that array element as shown here. I am using both echo and print to return the first element, which is apples. Should I use the echo or print statement to just return the value of the variable $list, it would return the word array. It would not return the elements. Now we will create an array using our own index. And I will start my array with index number 1. So here we have the same variable $list. We are using the array function. And inside the parentheses, here I have 1 and an operator, the value, comma, 2, the operator, a value, comma, 3, an operator, a value. That operator is called the double arrow operator. It is used with arrays. What it is doing, it is storing the value on the right to the corresponding index on the left. So if I wanted to retrieve the first element, which is index 1, I could use either echo or print with the name of the array $list and in brackets indicate the index number, and in this case the number is 1, and here I am returning apples. Again, if we just used echo or print to display the value of the array variable, it would not give us the elements, it would just give us the word array. So here is the double arrow operator, an access mechanism for arrays. It is telling us that what is on the left will have a corresponding value on the right, so it is enabling us to associate the array elements with this index, and it will also work for a key, which we will look at shortly. We have already learned how to create an array using the array function. In PHP, you don't have to use that function. You can merely use the brackets. So PHP automatically knows that if we are storing values into a variable and those values are placed inside the brackets, that is an array. Now we will create an array using keys. When an array uses a key, it is referred to as an associative array because the elements are associated with key values rather than numeric values. So here we have the array function. I'm using the same variable $list, and my first key is red, and that is being associated with the first element apples. The next key is yellow, being associated with the next element bananas. The next key is orange, being associated with the next element oranges. Should I wish to retrieve an array element, I would use the variable, and in the brackets I would place the key which corresponds to the element which I want to retrieve. I am using the first element, which is apples, and I am retrieving that by using the key red. We have been working with forms for much of this class. Form elements essentially constitute an associative array. Every form element is identified by its HTML name attribute. The user enters a value, or they check something which indicates a value. These name-value pairs constitute an associative array, the name being the key, and we use that name to retrieve the value when we want to determine what the user entered in the form. There are many functions that pertain specifically to arrays. We have already looked at the array function, which creates the array. We also have a count function, and that returns the number of elements in the array. When we talk about the number of elements, it is technically referred to as the length, similar to the length of a string. The print_r function, which we have already seen, returns the key or index paired with the value of that array. The var_dump function shows the above, but also adds a little bit more detail. So here we see an example of those functions. We have seen the array function being used, and this is how you would use the count function. You would just use the variable name of the array as a parameter to that function, and it would return a number. The print_r function, we would pass the variable name of the array to the print_r function, and it would actually show us what is inside the array, as we see here. The var_dump function would also show what is inside the array, but it would also give you some information about those elements. For example, since these are strings, it is telling us that they are a string, and it is also telling us the length of each of them. There are two ways to add an element to an array. Based on the array that I have here, all I would do was use the variable name with the brackets and assign a new element. It would automatically be added at the end. Or I could specify the element index. If this was a key, you would need to specify the key. You can delete an element from an array using the unset function. The unset function takes the value of the array index or the array key that you want to remove. We also have an array_merge function to merge two or more arrays. Should we wish to access a specific element of an indexed array, we would use the name of the array and in brackets specify the index value, as we see here. Here we are using index 1, and it indeed would retrieve apples. You can access a specific array element from an associative array, which is an array that uses a key. In the same manner, you would indicate the name of the key in brackets for that array element's name. So here we have an array using keys. There are 3 elements. And if I wanted to access the value of my dog's array using the key poodle, it would indeed return the element Emma. Outside of working with form elements, the majority of the time you work with arrays in PHP, you probably want to access all the values using a loop. We have a for each loop. The for each loop is a specific type of loop that works with arrays. Note that for each is one word. There is a specific syntax to this. You specify the name of the array, the as keyword, a variable that represents the key, the double arrow operator, and a variable that represents the value. I am using $key and $value because it seems to make sense. So this loop will automatically access the key and access the value. The code inside the curly braces is executed for every element of this loop as it loops. You will be placing the variable for the key and the variable for the value, and it will return the key and the value. So here we have an example of the output using the above loop, which we've been working with, and we can see, based on my echo statement, that also contains some text so that I can see what is happening, that we have a key of 1 and the value of apples, key of 2 and the value of bananas, key of 3 and the value of oranges. Sometimes you may want both the key and the value. Sometimes you may only want the value. The for each loop is what you will use. Here is an example using the same array, and in our for each loop we are only outputting the value. So here we have the name of the array, the as keyword, and one variable which represents the value. PHP knows that because there is no double arrow operator that this would be the value, and the code inside the curly braces will execute that value.